Mara sat alone on the porch, the evening breeze brushing gently across her face. The house, which was once filled with laughter and movement, now felt painfully silent. 3 months earlier, her husband Dan had packed his bags and left without explanation. Her children, Toby, Mia, and Grace, had drifted away too, each retreating into their own world. Toby went to live with his father Mia, and Grace stayed with their grandmother most nights. The home that once echoed with life now only carried the sound of a ticking clock. Mara remembered the morning Dan left. She had woken to a note on the kitchen table. His wedding ring rested beside it. No goodbye, no explanation, just absence. The grief didn't hit all at once. It came in waves: confusion, sadness, anger, and then numbness. She replayed every memory, searching for what went wrong. She had given everything to her family, yet somehow, it hadn't been enough. One evening, Mara sat in the living room, staring at the family photos on the wall. Christmas mornings, vacations, school plays, they looked like someone else's life. Someone who was happier. Someone who was whole. Her phone buzzed. It was Mia asking to stay at one of her friends' house. Of course, Mara replied softly. The silence that followed felt heavier than before. Even when her children were near, they were distant. She sensed their quiet blame, their unspoken hurt. She questioned herself constantly. What could she have done differently? As she stood to clean the dishes, something caught her eye, a painting on the wall. A sunrise over a field of sunflowers. She had painted it years ago during a difficult time in her marriage. Back then, it reminded her that darkness doesn't last forever. Now the meaning felt stronger. The sunrise wasn't just hope. It was a reminder. She could rise again too. The next morning, Mara woke early. She dressed simply and stepped outside for a walk. The neighborhood was quiet, the sky slowly brightening. For the first time in months, she felt something shift inside her. She stopped at a small cafe she had visited many times but never really noticed. The barista smiled and greeted her. Mara introduced herself. It was a small step, but it felt important. Later that week, she signed up for a pottery class at the community center. She hadn't done anything just for herself in years. As she pressed her hands into the clay, she felt grounded, focused in a way she hadn't felt in a long time. That's where she met Lila. Lila was warm, easy to talk to, and carrying her own story of loss. Her husband had left years earlier, and her children lived in different cities. They bonded quickly, sharing coffee after class and talking about life, fears, and starting over. With each passing week, Mara felt lighter. The pottery class became something she looked forward to. She laughed more. She began to enjoy the quiet moments again. Months later, her children slowly began returning. Toby came home for the summer. Mia and Grace stopped by for dinner occasionally. The distance remained, but something was different. Mara was different. She didn't cling to the past anymore. She shared her pottery with them, talked about her new routine, and showed them she was rebuilding. One evening after dinner, Toby looked at her thoughtfully. "Mom, I think you're doing okay now. I can see it." Mara smiled, her eyes shining. "I'm trying," she said. The real turning point came with an unexpected phone call. It was Dan. He sounded hesitant. He apologized for leaving the way he did. He said he had been overwhelmed, confused, and unsure of himself. He admitted he had made mistakes. Mara listened quietly. Part of her wanted answers, but another part realized she didn't need them anymore. She had already begun healing. "I think we both need to move forward," she said calmly. "But I wish you well, Dan." When she hung up, she felt something lift. The past no longer held her. She was free. Over the next year, Mara focused on her pottery, her friendships, and her children. Her life wasn't perfect, but it was hers. She felt proud of herself for not giving up. One evening, she sat on her porch again, watching the sun set beyond the horizon. The house was quiet. But it didn't feel lonely anymore. It felt peaceful, full of possibility. Mara realized her journey wasn't about fixing what had broken. It was about discovering who she was beyond it. She had learned to stand on her own, to heal, and to find joy again. And as the sky faded into evening, she knew something with certainty. This wasn't the end of her story. It was her new dawn.